All right, this is the third game of the playoffs so far today. The San Antonio Spurs and the Memphis Grizzlies. Of course, the Spurs are the second seed, and the Grizzlies are the seventh seed. Earlier on, this game was competitive. Marc Gasol scored 32 points for the Memphis Grizzlies. Michael Conley had a decent game, 13 points, 5 rebounds, and 7 assists. And I hate to be hard on the guy, but this is just my opinion. When you have when it comes to per average, the second richest contract in the NBA and the richest as far as overall money, okay, when only LeBron James makes more money per year than you do, you got to play like you're not necessarily a score first point guard. Then you got to be John Stockton, man. I'm sorry. You got to be putting up like 18 points, 5 rebounds, and 24 assists or some shit, man. I mean, you got to be stellar defensively. You have to be a beast. Like, you can't just be having these mediocre numbers and, I'm sorry, man. Fuck that. I'm not going to apologize for my opinion. The guy fucking is overrated, okay? When you make $31 million a year and you are this pedestrian with your production, you have to be, like I said in that video I did, and I remember what I said, he has to be cooling his ass off down there in Memphis, man. But, whatever. The Spurs, I got a feeling, man, I just had a feeling that they were going to break this game open in the second half, and that's exactly what happened in the third quarter. Kawhi Leonard, who continues to improve as a basketball player, scored 32 points, but he did a lot of that damage in the third quarter, scoring 15 of his 32 points in the third quarter. And he matched his career high with 32 points to go along with 3 rebounds and 5 assists. LaMarcus Aldridge had 20 points and 6 rebounds. Tony Parker looked something like the Tony Parker you remember from the mid to late 2000s when he was in his prime. He had 18 points, 2 rebounds, and 2 assists. Danny Green did not score. Offensively, he continues to struggle, but defensively, he helped out his ball club. And Pau Gasol continues to shoot the ball very well from outside. This year, he shot the ball incredibly well from 3, and he's evolved his game to become a stretch 4 or 5 or whatever the hell he is now. But they played well all together, man, especially defensively, especially in the second half. They broke the game open. It was at half. What was the game at halftime? Let's see something here. I think the game was like, what was that? What was the halftime score? 50-49. What was the halftime score? 52-49, I think it was. 52-49 at the half. And the final score was 111-82. Spurs win. I mean, I think San Antonio's going to win the series. I don't know what the spread's going to be, but I'd be shocked if it goes more than 6 games, maybe 6, but it could go 4-1, 4-2. That's what I'm expecting. I think Memphis is going to win 1 game. If Memphis doesn't win a game, then I'd be kind of shocked. I know the Spurs really mean business this postseason, really mean business. But Kawhi Leonard, man, I'm just so amazed at his play. Huey Brown talked about how much this guy's worked on his game over the past few years, how he's developed a softer shot, especially down the post. There was a move that he did. Had he converted, it would have been all over the highlight reels on ESPN or whatever. But he got the ball, and, Leonard was rolling, and he was double-teamed. It looked like they stopped him. But he pivoted, did an up and under move. The defense bit, of course, and he did a fake move. So then, when it bit, he went under, and he tried to lay the ball off. It was a beautiful move, but the ball kind of spun out, But had he converted it, it was just a beautiful move, and it was very reminiscent of Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. Um, just, I'm telling you, if this guy continues to improve offensively to go along with his stellar defense, the only thing that kind of hurts him is how people are so into the commercial aspect of basketball, and he doesn't have this personality that is the most charismatic. But if he really improves even more, I think as early as next year, he could surpass LeBron James as the best player in the game. I know some people say, "Oh, but Mike, you're saying Westbrook's the MVP." Well, the MVP is not always the best player. Okay, I'm not. Look at Derrick Rose. He wasn't the best player. Charles Barkley wasn't necessarily the best player in the NBA in '93. That was Jordan. Okay, but Kawhi Leonard is a perennial MVP candidate, and had to go off the Popovich, man. I'm starting to really change my opinion about who I think the greatest coaches of all time are. Like, I've always said that I thought that Red Auerbach is still the greatest coach I've ever seen, right? Not that I was alive when Red Auerbach was coaching, but when I would read about what he did and how he was also able to translate his greatness into other roles outside of just coaching, I still just have him as the greatest architect in basketball history. I've always said, well, I've always been resistant to call Phil Jackson the greatest head coach, but I always say he's the most successful head coach. I always would say that. But you look at Greg Popovich, and you see what the Spurs have done and how they still have maintained their greatness throughout even the Tim Duncan. They had the Robinson years, then Robinson declined, then Tim Duncan took over, then you had the nucleus of Tim Duncan, Ginobili, and Parker, and then slowly that was phased out to include more of Leonard, and then Ginobili, Parker kind of got phased out, then Duncan kind of went down. Not to say phased out, but you know what I'm saying. And now Duncan's retired, and you can, Ginobili and Parker are in secondary roles, and it's like they always are able to, talking about the Spurs and Popovich, they're always able to find just the right players for just the right roles for their teams. I remember back in the mid-2000s, nobody really wanted McDyess anymore. And McDyess was able to come onto that team, and he played for them beautifully toward the end of his career. They're all, they're a great franchise, man. And matter of fact, I don't even think that was the mid-2000s. That was the late 2000s, wasn't it? Yeah. So, anyway, Spurs up 1-0, and I don't think Memphis really stands a chance, man. Tony Allen, from what I see, may not be back for this series. So, I don't know. Tell me what you guys think.